DorkLair.
Welcome to another DorkLair action figure review. Today I'm taking a look at the Mezco 112 Collective John Wick. Hot off the press, this one just released at the end of July. I got mine on August 1st. It actually arrived in the mail, shipped at the end of July. So this was, I think, about 14 months on pre-order. So quite a long wait for a figure that, in my opinion, is maybe a little lackluster, not quite as awesome as some of the other things they put out. Like, they put so much awesome effort into their Gomez figures, and I feel like this one falls a little bit short compared to the others, especially with like the really expensive price point, and that long wait adds up. And so, you know, it's a little bit lackluster, but not terrible. And there are some things to like about it, and there are some things to hate about it. So let's get into this review. Okay, first up, John Wick comes in a rather large tin. It's a nice looking tin, and it's got a great shape, I think, for storing your figures and stuff. So, you know, it's a pretty nice piece here. Get that logo on the side right here. Yeah, it's a nice tin. I really like the tins that they do with these figures. Here's the back. You can see like all the parts and pieces that it comes with. It's got John Wick on the side. So, yeah, I like the packaging, and I feel like this is one of those ones that I am going to empty it out, and I'm going to store some stuff in it. This is like the perfect storage container right here. So, yeah, so I like that packaging quite a bit. All right, let's take a look at the sculpt, paint, and detail. So here's the first sort of primary head sculpt, one of two. Now, it looks like Keanu to me, but it's not a perfect likeness, and it does not look anywhere near as awesome as the photos in the promo shots. So that's like my first knock. But the beard is painted well. Like, everything's kind of painted well. It looks decent, maybe a little soft. But I do think that the eyes have a nice life, have a life to them. You know, the hair's sculpted well. And yeah, I mean, like, there's just something about it that I think just the shape of the face is a little bit off when it comes to trying to capture Keanu in this movie. I do think I like the other head better, which we usually do that with the accessories, but let's just take a look at that now. So here's the other head sculpt. I don't know, something about a nice beat up John Wick just feels right. And I feel like the likeness is a little bit better here. Pretty cool scars and just all like mashed up. So this is the head sculpt I will probably kind of prefer on my shelf here, the beat up head sculpt. And then moving down the suit, the tie is just, I don't know, it just seems like they screwed it up. You know, like they just couldn't get it right. The ties look good on other figures. They look good on the Joker figures and a lot of other things, but I don't know, for some reason the knot on this tie, it just looks like a flat square rather than in the shape of a tie knot. And I don't really think there's anything you could do here with it. It's just the way it's stitched and the way it's shaped. So that's a bit of a knock right there. The suit itself, I like the material. Like, it's got a nice texture to it. It kind of feels like suit material, and it seems to scale pretty well. But they did this weird thing where they have all sorts of stuffing up in the shoulders, like shoulder pads in there, and it's making him look very rounded here. So that's another thing that I have issue with when it just comes to the look of the figure. And if you like bring the arm up, and we'll do articulation later, but you can see all of that in there. So I may try to remove that and see if I can kind of get that looking a little bit better. If you take the jacket off, you can see and I'll show that in a minute, but when you take the jacket off, you can see the stuffing in there. I do have an issue here where this pocket, which is not a real pocket, but it came unglued. Like, I can push it down and it kind of sticks down, but then it comes up again. So that's a QC issue there. This side is nice. It's actually on there pretty well. So this side looks good, but this side's coming undone. I think I got to glue mine back down. Again, the tiny little things throughout the figure that keep adding up and making it not great. The overall body under there, it feels a lot like the Spock or Joker body. The arms do feel different, and we'll talk about that after, but it has that stiffness to it that those figures have. And that body's starting to feel a little bit outdated. You know, that Spock came out, in 2016? So, and then you can kind of see the pants here. It's a nice seam down the side, super clean. Pants look pretty good. The belt, my belt is slightly off-centered, I think. Maybe my pants are turned. But the buckle has some nice little detail, and it's like a shiny belt. I feel like maybe they should have had one that he could take off. I feel like I remember him taking his belt off and killing someone with it, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't totally remember. It's been a while. The shoes look pretty great too. Nicely sculpted. Not really a ton of paint details. They could have maybe given it some kind of two-tone, or maybe like one part flat, one part shiny, but yeah, the shoes look pretty good. And then there's some treads on the bottom. So overall, certain parts of the figure look decent, other parts of the figure don't, and that's one of the big issues there. The way that jacket is all rounded and just makes him look puffy up top there. That's kind of annoying to me, so I'm going to try to fix that. And I'm going to talk about the articulation right now because I want to then talk about how he looks with the suit off. So I'm kind of mixing the articulation in with the looks section of the review. So the head is one solid piece, so it's typical of the Joker Spock situation. But there's a pretty good range of motion even with that being said. A lot of those figures I feel like they're not too bad considering it's only one point of articulation there in the neck. So the head can move well enough. The arms are pretty tricky. They're like almost like these stiff ratcheting joints. Again, very similar to the way the Jokers and Star Trek figures move. But he can bring his arm up this far, and again, it just looks wildly puffed out there when you bring his arm up because of that stuffing in the arm. And then he can swivel his arm, but the suit gets all jammed up, and I really can't get his arm, like, unless I start fidgeting with it, I can't get his arm too much past this with the suit jacket on. I really have to start pulling it and then turning it and messing with it to get it really much past that. And then going backwards, you can do this. There's no swivel at the bicep. Again, very similar to the Joker arm there. Where it feels a little bit different is in the elbow. First of all, the elbows are very rubbery feeling. So this is the non-articulating direction, and it's very gummy. Maybe that's a good thing because maybe it's less prone to break. But the elbow can go a little further than expected with the Joker. Now the suit is making it bounce back, but it can definitely go further than the Joker arm. So that's how far his arm can go. And I'll show you with the shirt off after, but his arm can go that far. If you look at Spock, he can only go this far. So he can't reach 90 degrees, or he can just almost reach 90 degrees there. Whereas John Wick can go past 90 degrees. Still would have preferred a double jointed elbow because it just would have made wielding those weapons and just moving them around that much better. But he can definitely go past 90 degrees. So this is different. And it even feels different in here than the way the Spock arm feels. It just feels like there's more, feels like a little bit different, this bottom piece of the arm for sure. You can turn it at the elbow. His hand is on the typical ball type hinge joint of the Mezco figures. And again, I'm leaving the jacket on for now so you can see how it moves with the jacket on, and then I'll show you the differences with it off. There is an upper twist at the top, and you can crunch just a little bit back and forth, not a ton. And then there is another ball joint at the waist, but again, not a ton of motion there. But you can kind of twist him and get him into some cool like poses and stuff. Just not that hyper range that like a Gomez or something has. His legs can come up about this far, not too bad there, and can kick back quite a bit. He can go out into a nice wide stance. The suit is going to prevent, I think he could probably go further if it weren't for the suit, but again, kind of a stiff figure here in that regard. You can twist at the top of the leg, and then the knees are double jointed. There's no twist at the knee. You can twist the feet, and then he can point down, and he can point up a little bit, and then he's got ankle rockers as well. His ankle can rock that far. So a decent amount of range of motion in the legs and the feet, but again, a very stiff figure. Okay, so I just removed the jacket, and then if you look inside the shoulder, you can see there's this type of stuff all in there, creating that like puffy shoulders. I don't know if they were trying to make him look a little more built and a little more squared, but it had the opposite effect, and it makes him look round up there. All right, so here's how he looks with his jacket off. The shirt's pretty nice. It's got a nice sort of finish to it. Everything looks like it's tailored pretty well, but again, like weird things, like here with it off, his neck looks really long. With the suit on, his neck doesn't look terribly long, but with it off, it looks kind of long. So the proportions are kind of weird there. But you can kind of see the vest and all that stuff as you kind of work your way around the figure there. And so I can point out the elbows again. They definitely go past 90. So let's compare again to side by side with Spock. So you can see the difference there where Spock's arm is angled down, John Wick's is angled up. So definitely a little more articulation there, and it does make a difference, especially wielding those guns. And now let's see how John Wick looks next to a few other figures. All right, starting off with a couple Mezcos. Here he is next to Spock and pretty much Diabolique with one of the clear Bag of Skulls heads on there. And there's Diabolique's head. It's on the Golden Dragon Gomez, and on the other side of John Wick is the Onyx Batman. And here he is next to a couple Mythic Legions figures. On the left is a 1.0 character. Atlas on the right is a 2.0 character, and that is Ravana. And finally, here he is next to a couple Hasbro figures. On the right is the Black Series Mandalorian, and on the left is the G.I. Joe Classified Cobra Trooper, which I have to give a big shout out to fellow YouTuber Datalinks Magnus. Please go follow him, or subscribe to his channel, like his videos. He has a review up of that trooper. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to that on the channel. I will be doing it on the podcast at some point when we do our big Joe's overview in a couple weeks. But yeah, so check out Datalinks Magnus. He's got an awesome review. Huge shout out. Thank you very much for hooking me up with that figure because I could not get it myself. All right, last but not least, let's talk about accessories. And this is the dog that he comes with. It's really quite a nice looking dog figure here. It's a pretty sweet little doggy. Again, he comes with the two heads. And for hands, he's got the fists that are on him right there. He's got odd hands, like he only has one of the sort of standard gripping hands. He does have both sides trigger hands. He's got a couple sort of like karate hands. So he's got like the straight karate hand, and then he's got like the knuckle punch karate hand. And then he's got a couple semi-relaxed, possibly action poses. And then he's got one hand for cradling the barrel of the weapons over there. And one thing to point out is all of the left hands have the ring on there. He comes with 4 blast effects. This one we've seen before on a few of the figures. And then he's got this repeating one. Mine's all warped. They're all going in weird directions. I have to like heat that up. I feel like maybe they used some softer plastic here. Maybe they got sick of people saying this little piece broke, but the plastic is a little softer. So again, another little thing that kind of they add up. Again, like I said, a lot of little things add up over this figure. But that's not the first time we've seen this repeating blast effect. And then we've got, I think this is the most popular blast effect that we've seen with Mezco figures. This is sort of like the one shot, maybe like a pistol firing. And then finally, we have this big blast right here, which I think is a brand new piece. So that's a pretty cool new blast effect to add to the collection. Okay, and then the arsenal. So I tried to put most things into the chest, which looks nice. It's got a nice like sort of wooden look to it and some cool weathering on the little metal pieces and stuff. But yeah, it's a nice looking little chest. I do wish maybe these were a little further out on the side here, because maybe you could have him like grabbing this, pulling it like up the thing. But you kind of push in and lift up, and then you get the inside. Even the inside has a little bit of paint, not quite as nice as the outside. It does have a little bit of a plasticky feel to it on the inside. But then you have 2 pieces. You have these 2 top pieces, one with some of the weapons, and then the other one with all the gold pieces. Unless I lost it, I don't think he comes with one single coin. You'd think they would have him come with one of the coins. And I don't know if you can see it, but they do have that sort of look to it. They do have the printing on there, so that's pretty neat. So you got all those gold pieces. You could have a lot of fun taking pictures with those. Do a little setup diorama and stuff. These have a pretty tight fit, which is why I didn't have the other one in there at the moment. I didn't want to fidget with it. And then as you get inside, you can see that there's storage for guns below. I don't know the types of guns these are, but he comes with this rifle. A lot of the guns are mostly just a solid black, but I don't know. I feel like that's kind of accurate to the way they are in the movie. But here's this, and it does have a little cartridge there, and I don't think this piece slides, but it looks like something that would slide on the gun, on the barrel there. So this long sort of rifle. And then you have this one, and this does have some pump action here with the handle. And again, they all black, but it doesn't feel cheap or anything like that. You know, there's a little bit of some sort of weathering over here. They're nice weapons. They're just solid black generally. Then we've got his machine gun here with the scope on there. And the magazine on this one is removable. And it does come with an extra one of those. So you know how he is with all his ammo and stuff. You can create some cool scenes with John Wick with all his ammo. In here, you have 4 of these sort of, I think they're like concussion grenades or smoke grenades or something like that. And he's got this really nice knife. And again, everything's pretty much black, but if you kind of look closely, you can see that, you know, there's a little bit of detail on the end there. There's a little bit of shininess there. So they're not just like cast in a solid black plastic. They have these little details about them, and they have a quality to them, and they feel nice. So there's 2 types of pistols that are stored in this piece here. You have this bigger pistol, and the magazines do not come out of these, or at least I haven't figured out how to get them out. I think they're just cast in there, and they just have these extra magazines just so that you can kind of recreate him with all his ammo. And then there's this other one. He's got 2 of these little ones and 2 of those big ones, both of which have extra magazines, even though you can't swap them in and out. And then he's got one of this type of pistol. Again, I don't know what the gun names are, but this is sort of in the middle of the 2. And this one does have a swappable magazine. It does not come with an extra one, though. And then speaking of the ammo, it does come with this little clip here so that you can put 2 magazines on there. And in John Wick style, he can have a double, and then he can swap it over and then have the other one on there. So that's pretty neat right there. And finally, he does come with this wristwatch that you can like kind of remove and put on. And if I remember correctly, he wears it under, he wears it sort of on the underside there rather than on the top of the wrist. Of course, like all the Mezco figures, he comes with the 5-inch stand. It's got the logo, pretty basic. I did have an issue where only one of his feet really fits well on the peg. So his left foot does not quite fit on there right. I have to really jam it on there to get it to fit. His right foot, however, does fit perfectly fine. So that's kind of annoying too. And he comes with the flight arm as well. So yeah, so overall, I'm not super thrilled with the figure. You know, it's got a lot going on. There are things to like. There are a lot of things to dislike. And I have mixed feelings about it. I probably, if I had a second chance, I might skip this one. I don't really know that I recommend it. But it's not terrible either. It's not the worst figure ever. You know, it's got a lot of pieces and a lot of weapons and stuff. They might not be as detailed as some of the other figures, but as I think more about it, I kind of feel like it's really more about the look of these like brand new weapons that he gets from like his arms dealer type guy, rather than it being like these scuffed up, all these little scuffed up and weathered details that a lot of the other figures have on their weapons. Anyway, thanks for watching my video. I hope it was helpful in you deciding whether or not you're going to pick this figure up. Again, I don't necessarily recommend it, especially at the current aftermarket prices. I know the production one was high, so perhaps, you know, maybe you can find a deal. Wait around. There's a lot of people who hate this thing, so you could get in luck if you do want this figure. You might be able to find it for a little less than the current aftermarket. Anyway, thanks for watching my video. Until next time, may the force be with you.